The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney. The weekend is here. The birthday boy, Barry Ferguson, is with us. And so too, someone else who had a birthday this week, which we didn't realise until a few moments ago. Darren O'Day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wednesday. Darren, happy birthday on Wednesday. Barry, Monday we kicked off the week with, we missed you Monday night. What were you doing? Partying?
No. I was just chilling out at home. The family come down to see us. No, the partying days are over, Paul. 48 years of age now. I'm not like you.
Good on forever. Darren, for you?
Very similar. Quiet with the family. Yeah. Birthdays just pass. Come and go.
So Barry's honest, he's 40. Are you 39?
39, yeah.
I'll work it out for you.
40 next year. 40 next year, yeah.
Actually, the team came in with a birthday cake about 15 minutes ago, and then as they're doing it for social media, it'll be up any moment. Darren had a speech. He said, it's my birthday as well. So, sorry, I should have done my research before it. Well, what a week. Best players in February, Barry? I heard you chipping in.
Yep, I've got to agree with that. That's what it says to Dan. The best players are made in February, that's for sure.
What was it like to play against then? So you were a young buck coming through at Celtic. Obviously, you played Barry as the captain of Rangers. What was he like?
Yeah, well, obviously, his standing in his team was a lot different than my standing in my team. So I think he probably went in the mindset of how to win the game. I was going in to make sure I didn't lose the game for my team of more. But yeah, obviously a serious competitor, top quality, had seen it all. So I think going back then, you look back at the Rangers team we faced. You had Pedro Mendes in the middle of the pitch with them. There was some really, really good players.
Barry, what are your memories of a young Darren O'Day?
A very feisty character, which, listen, we spoke about off air. Paul, I like that. I think it's a dying breed in the modern day. And he kind of stood out because he was a left-sided defender. You don't get many left-sided defenders, but no, he was a tough opponent, Darren was.
Scottish Cup weekend, we'll talk about that in big detail. What a shame, though, the Aberdeen Motherwell game is off. So 2 games in a row for the Motherwell fans. Barry, it's the last thing they want, given they're on such a brilliant run.
Yeah, listen, they want to continue to play games. I think they've been immense this season, Paul. I've watched them live a couple of times. Certainly when they came to Ibrox, I was so impressed. It's probably the only team in a number of years that I've seen dominate Rangers, certainly in the first 20 minutes. And the new managers come in with a different style. The players have took to it, and they're having a fantastic season. So they'll be disappointed that the last couple of games have been cancelled. And obviously they've got the big one next Wednesday against Rangers at Fir Park.
And I was just about to say, Motherwell are going to play a big part in who wins this title. Since we saw you, Barry, it keeps changing. The only thing it doesn't change is Hearts at the top, but they dropped points the other night. Celtic were second. I know there was nothing in it. Celtic were second top. Their game went off at Pittodrie. They were right up for it. The Rangers game, 5-1 at the end. It didn't sound that way at the beginning, at half time, but it's 3 points.
No, it was a tough first half for Rangers. Look, I think in terms of Kilmarnock, their game plan went out the window after getting a man sent off after 4 minutes. Obviously, Tav got the penalty, and I'm sure Dan will agree. I know the fans were getting a bit frustrated, and I can understand that, but it's difficult to play against 10 men. They sat behind the ball and tried to hit Rangers in the counter-attack. But listen, Rangers come out in the second half, Kilmarnock tired, and eventually they get another 4 goals. It cranks up the goal difference as well for Rangers. But as I said, Paul, and I'll maintain it, this league title is going to go right down to the wire for me.
It sure is, isn't it?
Yep.
13 games to go for Rangers. Celtic, 14 games. Dan, what did you think about that the other night? I suspect you wanted, from a Celtic point of view, the game to go ahead at Pittodrie.
I don't think there's ever an occasion you don't want the game to go ahead. But especially with the way things are going, you want to be playing at roughly the same time as your opposing teams are playing as well. So you look at the scores when you come off the pitch or whatever it is. So Rangers have had a great win. Celtic now have a game in hand, and that game now has got pushed into a kind of sticky period where they end up with 3 games in a row in Stuttgart, Rangers, and then Aberdeen away. So listen, it is what it is now at this stage, but it wasn't ideal to say the least.
Celtic have put in their squad, as everyone has for the Europa League. We'll talk about that shortly, but Chavanchara is in there, Araujo is in, and also the new signing, the other striker, Adamu. So we'll hear from Martin O'Neill shortly. We're going to be talking Mikey Moore. Barry, I read your excellent column this morning in the Record. So, interesting, you think that Rangers should and might be able to extend his loan?
Well, I would like to think they would try, because if you look back in his time at Rangers, he came up a young kid, and now for me he's grown into a man, Paul. Since the new manager's come in, he's been exceptional. Whether that's starting or if he comes off the bench, it really affects the game. And I think he's got so many great attributes, and I think he's only going to get better. So I would kind of look and maybe ask Tottenham the question, is he going to go back down there and maybe be a bit part player, or will they allow Rangers to continue his development? Because he's still a young boy, he's only 18 years of age. But as I said again on Wednesday night, Paul, I was at the game against Kilmarnock, and he was a standout. He was a standout again. And if you go back to the game, the disappointing result against Hibs at Easter Road on the Sunday, he came on and he had a real effect to the game. He was the one that was wanting to make runs forward. He obviously scored the goal that was offside, just offside. But that's what he's doing now. He's affecting games of football, and I'd be very surprised if Rangers aren't asking the question to Tottenham.
And Darren, as you know, it was Ange Postecoglou who played him on his 17th birthday for Tottenham.
Yeah, well, that's what's scary about it, is the kid's 17. Yeah. Like, to be playing football at the level he's playing at 17, but then to actually move club to a club the size of Rangers with the scrutiny it's under, and to perform has been exceptional. So I totally agree. I just wonder, would Rangers' situation, if they win the league and they were in Europe, does that affect it? Because I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of teams that will be interested in Mikey Moore, but in saying that, his development at Rangers has been fantastic, so why would they not give him back for another year?
Of course, and it could be Champions League. We're going to speak Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's in the great city of Glasgow. It's a medical tomorrow. Let's go on to the lines, 08 08 17 17 700. First up tonight, Ross, a Celtic fan. Hi Ross, good evening.
Hi Paul, Darren and Barry. Hope you guys are doing well.
Great, thank you. They're all in top form. There's so much in the go, Ross. It's where do you want to start?
No, listen, I'm really excited about this news with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think if we manage to get it over the line, then I think he'll be a terrific signing in terms of our squad. But it just begs to believe, Paul, that if Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain was linked with the Celtic move towards the end of the window, I just find it astounding that we couldn't get somebody like him at the start of January, and he could have been in, and then he could have been in for the games that were needed. But as I say, we are where we are now. I think the squad is a bit better. In terms of the loan deals, it's no ideal because you want to get permanent signings. But I think Martin O'Neill touched on that with him not taking the job full time, we don't know what the situation is going to be there. So I get there's issues there trying to get boys in the door on a permanent deal if we don't know who the manager's going to be. So I can support the board in that way. But I just think right now, if the board were to pull out Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and get him in the door, I think they've got to be commended for it, because I think he would be a terrific signing for us.
Right, let's hear what Martin O'Neill said about him this afternoon.
That's really the main point about it all. And I think that, again, in terms of European football, because we had to do these particular things, I want to make those changes to players who were at the football club rather than waiting around. And that's, I think he might be a bit of disappointment there from Alex's viewpoint, wanting to show what he can do in the European stage. But we had to press on. And but if he can get up to speed, I do believe that he's got the desire. He wants to do well. He's 32, which is, in this day and age, really no age whatsoever for players who look after themselves, and that's the point. And how quickly we can do that, there, I suppose, it would be up to both of us as a football club, and he as the player.
Yeah, getting him up to speed. A little bit more about the signing.
Yeah, I spoke to him this morning. I think he wants to come, and I think he's coming. Would have assumed he's got a number of options. I think there was even talking about Arsenal for his training might take him on because they might pick up a couple of injuries. So I'm delighted that he's going to come, so he says. So I think he's doing a medical tomorrow, and all being well, I'm hoping that he signs on. I think the football club itself probably has convinced him more than anything else.
Darren, what do you make of this move?
I'm sceptical. Sceptical because he has played at the highest level of football pretty much for his full career. I remember playing against him when he was, I think he was at Southampton at the time before he moved to Arsenal. This is a super talented kid. He's 32 now, which is this day and age is no age. You can play till you're 40. We're seeing with some players. I just question why is he available to come on a free transfer to Celtic? I think the reason has been he's had a numerous amount of injuries. He's obviously tried something where he's gone abroad over to Turkey. It's not worked out, which is understandable. But I listen, if he's anywhere near his capacity, he's going to light this place up. My scepticism comes from, I know at that age, when you start getting injuries, are you the same player as you were before? And I think Celtic fans are expecting the player that was before to come up the road.
Barry, what do you think on it? Ian Acho's, and when he plays, you can see the difference he makes. Can you understand the worry that Darren has expressed there?
I totally get Darren's point. Look, he's played at the highest level. I know Darren mentioned Southampton, he's went to Arsenal, Liverpool.
Champions League.
There is no doubt he has bags of ability, no doubt. But why has nobody taken him since he's left Turkey in the summer? Besiktas, I think it was. He was at. So whether he's been struggling with an injury, maybe he's over that. I'm sure Celtic will do the medical and make sure he's fully fit, because I would expect that he wouldn't be cheap coming in as well. But I agree again with Dan. If you get him firing, Celtic have got a proper player in their hands.
Ross, what do you feel?
Yeah, no, listen, I take Darren's point and Barry's point, and I get the fact that you're sceptical, Darren, but I just think that if we got somebody like him, I think that he would improve that squad significantly, and I think his quality will shine through. And I think right now we're fighting Hearts and Rangers for a title, and I think if we can get somebody like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in the door, I think it will strengthen us.
Right.
And I generally think he will. I think he will light this place up.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right. And listen, if he, as I said, if he is anywhere near the capacity he has or had, he will be a fantastic player. It's just the unknown for me because he hasn't played a lot of football in a long time.
Barry, does it remind you of Aaron Ramsey coming into Rangers?
Yeah, very similar. Very similar ages as well. Again, played at the highest level, and Aaron Ramsey struggled a bit for game time and getting up to speed. But listen, it could be different. You just need to wait and see. But if a player with that quality and ability becomes available, well, I think Celtic are right to take a chance, and they just need to see how it pans out. But in terms of his ability, listen, he's played at the highest level. He's got huge experience, but he's not played a lot of football. He's not played, I think, for 6 or 7 months, which is a long time. You can train every session. I know he's been training with Arsenal youth team every single day, but training and playing games is totally different.
Ross, let's cut to the chase. What about the title chase now? So Hearts dropped 3 points the other night at St Mirren, 54 points. Rangers on 51. You're on Celtic, 48. The game kicked off the other night. So it's like a chess match, isn't it? Not that I can play chess, but what are you feeling just now? Who's going to win it? Oh, the line's going rubbish there. Yeah, I think we might have to call you back. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll call you right back. The Europa League squad announced by all the clubs. Celtic today. Couple of changes, couple of additions, 3 of them.
So there was a couple of positions left over, and of course, being out of the game for a little while, I wasn't completely sure of what ruling takes place. You know, whether you can take out long-term injuries, such things like that there. But we've got obviously Julian and Thomas come into it because they've been here, and I think we're allowed to make another change, and that was Amadou.
Amadou, we'll back to you in a moment, Ross. What do you make of it? The three additions, no surprise about Araujo, and also, Amadou comes in. Does that surprise you a little bit?
Again, I've not seen the new players play, so it's really, really hard to say. But listen, I think Martin O'Neill's biggest gripe would be you can't change more. I think he would have had them all in. So obviously that was part of Oxlade-Chamberlain kind of delaying, I believe, is because he wanted to be part of the European squad, and that's now not going to be the case.
That's right, midnight last night was the deadline.
Right. Yeah. So, but no, listen, it was obvious Celtic were going to make the full amount of changes with the signings they've made.
Ross, back to the title race. What are you feeling tonight?
No, I was saying, Paul, so I've done before, and I personally said that I thought Rangers were in the driving seat. The way the transfer windows went, I firmly believe, I think we are playing catch up to Rangers still. I think Celtic need results to go their way, and I think just what Darren said, the fact that we never got a game on Wednesday kind of went against us. But right now, I generally think Rangers are the ones to catch right now.
Barry, music to your ears. Do you know, in that chair Tuesday night, Peter Grant said, I think Rangers are the favourites now to win the title. Remember he said he would say at the end of the transfer window? He did on Tuesday. And there's Ross, Celtic fan, now thinks it's Rangers.
Well, they're in a great position, Paul. Like, if you were saying this 3 months ago, I've said to you, look at you in a strange way. So you've got to give the manager credit. You've got to give the players also, because they were coming in for a lot of criticism. And I think it's been a really positive window as well. I look at the 4 players that Rangers have brought in, and I know the 4 players pretty well. They 4 players have been brought in to play in the starting 11. They've not been brought in just as numbers or to sit on the bench. These 4 have been brought in to play, and I think that's what you'll see going forward with the 4 signings that Rangers have made. But as I said to you, look, I do fancy Rangers, but for me, it's going to get down to the last game or two of the season.
Darren, I think last week you said to me, you reckon after the 38 games, the experience of Celtic, the know-how, are going to take them over the line. Is that still how you feel?
Yeah, I think so. My feeling now after watching Hearts against St Mirren, I think Hearts will fall away. Yeah, I do. I think they've been absolutely outstanding. It's not a kind of a negative on them. They've done a great job, Derek McInnes. I just feel now, I just look at Rangers. Have Rangers gone 9 in a row wins? Celtic, I think, under Martin O'Neill over spells is it 11 domestic games, 10 wins, a draw. I don't think Hearts have that in them to go on a run of wins, and I think you're going to see over the next coming weeks where Rangers and Celtic will overtake Hearts, and it will be between the two of them.
That's right, Rangers just that draw at the weekend, but they bounced back from that at the weekend. Barry, while Ross is still here, before we let him go, the Tavernier, a few people have been on saying the double jeopardy didn't work for the club the other night for the game for Kilmarnock, and the player was sent off. Do you think James Tavernier, who was on a yellow, was lucky?
I've seen him given, Paul. When I was at the game, when I seen it, I was, here we go. But listen, sometimes you need to have a wee stroke of luck, and I think Rangers got a bit of luck there, because I've seen red cards, a second yellow card given. I could understand why Neil McCann wasn't happy after the game. I totally get it, because if that's my player going through, then I'm calling for certainly a second yellow card. So I can see the reason why they were disappointed, and I've seen them given plenty of times.
Because you want to keep players on the park if you can. It was tough for Kelly and Dom Thompson going on. Did you have a view on it, Ryan? On the fact that, you know, it was 10 against 11 for most of the game.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the Kilmarnock player, I feel sorry for him, because I think he just gets tangled up. It's a clear penalty, and by the letter law, it's a red card, because I think the double jeopardy thing is you need to make a conscious attempt to make the ball, but he's just got tangled up, and it really did kill the game. But obviously, from Rangers' point of view, they won't be complaining. Ross
is also a referee, so he knows the laws of the game. Ross, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so for me, there is contact on him, and for me, if I'm David Dickinson in that position, you're mindful that Tavernier's already on a yellow card, so you'll be speaking to your assistant saying, look, he's already on a yellow, and you're communicating. But for me, I think I don't think it's enough to merit a straight red. I think it was possibly a second yellow, which means that it would have been 2 cautions. So for me, he's stopping a promising attack, which in the laws of the game is a yellow card. So for me, I personally think it should have been a second yellow, but it's not enough, I don't think, Paul, for a straight red.
Ross, who's going to win the cup? Who do you reckon? Aberdeen, the holders, of course.
I would like to say Celtic. I would like to say Celtic. I think if we don't have enough to win the league, I think we will have enough to win one cup at least. So I think we'll be fine for the Scottish Cup. But ideally, Paul, I'd like a double. But do you know what? End of the day, I think, as I say, I think Rangers are the team to beat just now. I think they're the ones in the driving seat.
Darren, who do you think for the cup itself, and also who's going to be the surprise? Who else has been the final, maybe? So most people say it's either Celtic or Rangers, but what do you feel?
I know people are going to think it's because they're playing Rangers in the next round, but you'd like to see a Motherwell do well, because I think them and Falkirk have been the 2 best teams, I think, to watch this season. I think the work John McGlynn's done, and obviously the manager of Motherwell has been well documented, well he's done. So I'd like to see a Motherwell or Falkirk do well, because I think both managers have done great jobs.
Barry, what do you feel for the cup final? Who it might be? I guess I'm really saying who's the other team that might come in.
Apart from Rangers or Celtic, I agree with Darren. I think a Motherwell and a Falkirk, who again have had fantastic seasons. Motherwell have got obviously a tough game. I know it's cancelled tomorrow. Falkirk, that'll not be easy going to Steny. Gary Naismith's got them playing really well. So I think out of Rangers and Celtic, you could say Motherwell or Falkirk would be in about it.
Tam Cowan put a piece on social media, I don't know if you saw it, and it was the cup winning team of 1991. Did you see it? The coach going through.
I remember the game.
Aye, indeed, of course, great game, wasn't it? And the coach going through Motherwell. Did you see it, Ross? And some of the Davy Cooper there, the late great Davy Cooper up there in the top of the bus. What a player. One of the best you ever played alongside. Davy Cooper.
I'm not that old, Paul.
Oh,
Come on.
I know I've done this before. Sorry. Do you know what, Ross? Sorry. If only it was your big brother, Derek. No, even at that.
Listen, growing up watching him, he was what a left peg. I wanted a left peg, and listen, taken away far too young.
I know. Do you know he was? And that's the thing. He's forever young.
I think it was 38 years of age.
Just so young, indeed. Ross, enjoy the weekend. Are you refereeing yourself? Have you got a match?
I've got a game tonight up at Peters Hill tonight. So I've got Partick Thistle against Ayr tonight.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. We're back after this.
Cheers, guys.
Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
It's the birthday boys, Darren O'Dea, Barry Ferguson with me, Paul Cooney, as we look at the Cup this weekend and also at the title race. There hasn't been one like this. Dan, can you ever remember a race like this with 3 teams involved? I think I know the answer is no. In your lifetime? I don't think so.
Barry might have a better understanding. Yeah. Would Hearts have been in around it under Romanoff?
They were round about it, then they kind of tailed off towards the end. But this is the closest in terms of points. I know Celtic are behind with the game getting cancelled in Wednesday, but this is the closest it's been in a long time.
That's a great point. That was 2005, I remember, because Hearts came to Celtic at the top of the table. It was a bit like Rangers arriving, Barry. I was covering the game, and it just felt like, wow, this is a really, really big match. And was it a draw? And then they fired George Burley days later. People couldn't believe it. They were
That's right. They were spending a lot of money, obviously, at the time, and some good players. Yeah, that's the last time I remember a team, but not to this level where it's as tight as what it is.
So deadline day has come and gone. Rangers brought in Nadiri on the last day. Let's hear from him. He talked, obviously, the young German player, 6'4", Barry, I think he is, something like that.
Yeah, he's a big lad, that's for sure.
He enjoys his conversations with the manager, his fellow countryman.
First of all, it was a very, very nice first meeting. It's easier for me if I can just speak German to him, so it's a big advantage. It was nice conversation because it wasn't only about football. You try to know how the other person just thinks and works in his head as well. It was a very good conversation. We also talked about how I could help the team he gave me a very, very good feeling about that, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Darren, what do you make of him, Barry?
Well, his English is excellent,
isn't it?
Listen to him there, and I like that, the fact that they're just no buying him because he's a good player. They're looking into his background, his personality, and the character. And look, I know he's coming from the third tier in Germany, but the clips that I've seen of him, and obviously seen him for 20-25 minutes in Wednesday night, I think it's what Rangers have been crying out for. It's very mobile for a big lad as well, gets about the pitch. And what I like about him is when he gets a touch, when he links up, he lays it off, his first thought is, I want to get in that 18-yard box. And that's what you want from your centre forward. So I can see why the manager's been chasing him. Obviously the manager's German as well. He obviously knows German football. He's obviously got a lot of links over there. And he stood out, and that's the reason why Rangers have paid a bit extra than what they wanted to pay, but they knew to bring Nadiri in. They were going to get a guy who could make things happen up top.
He mentioned he spoke to another great German player that the Rangers fans love, George Albertz.
Yeah, right now my main focus is on here because we, as I said, we want to win the league, and that's what we're trying to do. So this is the main focus. I just am really proud to wear the jersey of Rangers, and as I said, my full focus is on Rangers right now.
Darren, overall, your impression of Rangers' transfer window?
Yeah, I think they've done really good business. I think obviously we've just touched on the centre forward who's come in there, big physical presence. I've watched a fair bit of the third division in Germany. It's a very good level, to be fair. Listen, naturally it's going to be a big step up to Rangers. The boy Olsen coming in, I thought his goal the other night, just the way he sorted out his feet was fantastic. You don't get 40 caps for Denmark unless you're a really high level. So I think Rangers have clearly recruited well. And I think, as Barry touched on, it's not to make the squad stronger, it's to make the 11 stronger. So I think now that the window's shut, it's going to really now be an interesting race, because I think Rangers definitely have strengthened. Celtic have, and I don't know if Hearts have as much as the other two.
Yeah, and their injuries as well. Barry, what do you feel then about the window? They did a lot of it early on, and then right in at the end with Nadiri.
Yeah, and the owner, Andrew Kavanagh's put his hand in his pocket, and that was a question that was put forward. Would they go and back the manager? And clearly he's back the manager with the 4 signings, 3 permanent signings. I know Olsen's a loan. We have you a permanent, but there was a loan fee, a big loan fee involved in that. So look, he's given the manager what he wanted. Now it's up to the manager to get these guys in the team and start. They are winning games, to go and kick on for the final 3.5 months of the season.
And we mentioned at the top of the programme about Mikey Moore, and Danny Rule praised him after the game the other night.
Yeah, Mikey is always lively on the pitch, and he wants to score, he wants to be active, but this is sometimes the difference. Some players, they can get more confidence on the pitch, and Mikey is someone, we know what we have from it. It was the reason why I took him then not out. I want to give him this minutes, he deserved it. But by Mike is as well about consistency. It's in some games you can't see him, and then he has outstanding games, and I think this is important for him as well. He knows this. I had a meeting with him in the last week about this. He demands a high performance on himself, but again, let's speak not about individual performance, speak about the team, and the team doing really well at the moment.
And Barry, you reckon that, what are the chances he'll be here next season? What do you think? I know a lot will depend on Tottenham.
Exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. That's going to depend in Tottenham and how they see his development. That's the biggest thing for Tottenham. What I like about Mikey Moore is he's very positive in the final third. I see far too many wide players when they receive the ball. They take the easy option. But Mikey Moore doesn't. He goes to attack the fullback, whether that's going in the outside or coming inside. Very positive when he gets in the forward positions. And for a guy so young, I just see so much in him. And I think Rangers would have to ask a question, what he's thinking about Mikey Moore next season. Because if Tottenham are maybe, you know what the money's like down
Sure.
in the Premier League. It's absolute frightening at times. Rangers might have an option of taking them again next season, and if they have that option, I think it's a no-brainer.
Billy's on saying, Barry, what did you make of it at half-time, though? The boos from some of the Rangers fans.
Yeah, I can understand in terms of when you score the penalty so early in the game and the man gets sent off, the fans obviously expect you to go and batter in 3 or 4 goals, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it's really difficult to play against 10 men. But I always say to new players when they come into Rangers and when you go out Ibrox, you've got 10 minutes. And if you don't start well, the fans are going to be on you. And I'm just afraid that's just the way it is at Rangers. If you're not playing at the levels and the standards that they expect, they're going to go on your back. Do I think it was a bit harsh at times? Yep, but I've been used to it. Paul, I've been used to it all my life. But again, listen, they took it on the chin and they came out in the second half and they produced another 4 goals, which was the main thing for me.
Here's Danny Rule.
Yeah, I'm honest to you, I couldn't understand this. I must say this. I love our fans really, but today I was really surprised. I think in the last couple of weeks we spoke about and we want to be together and we need the crowd. We lead very early in this first half, and then I was really surprised. But this is my job then to give my players the right feeling for this game, the right instruction. What we saw today is that we have a strong bench now. I think this is crucial, and this is in football. Yeah, some players start, and everyone knows the first 60 minutes. Sometimes it's harder than the last 30 minutes. Great is that some players scored. We want to create confidence, give them minutes. Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm very, very proud of my group at the moment. It's not about me. It's not about my person. It's all about my group because they deserved a lot of credit for what I did. Because in some moments we forget very soon and very quick in which position we were 10 weeks ago, and it was not me. It was my group who comes from a position from behind, from 14 points now to 3 points. Maybe this deserves sometimes a little bit positive energy.
Darren, Barry said he got 10 minutes at Ibrox. What did you get at Celtic?
I got a minute. Well, that was the manager telling me to come off. Listen, the reality is it's really harsh. Like Danny Rowell, since he's come in, they've gone on a run of games. They've won a lot of games. They've turned the season around that I think even the most optimistic Rangers fans probably had written off. But yeah, I just think, similar to Barry, this is just the way it works up here. Yeah. And you just have to get used to it. But of course, it's harsh. But I think anyone that's been in that dressing room, and Rangers have a few with experience, they'll just let the new signings know this is the way it goes up here. You kind of can't take a breather at any moment. So the big thing I'd say, though, is they reacted really well to it. Yeah. So it's not easy to react well to that. So they've obviously taken that on.
The Cup kicks off tonight, Barry. Airdrie against St Mirren. We love our Friday night football. You'll be watching this one?
Yeah, I'll be tuning in. Yeah, listen, Airdrie, I've picked up in the last number of weeks. St Mirren, listen, cup holders, but they've not been great in the league. So that's a tough test. That's a potential banana skin for St Mirren tonight. So, yeah, I'll be tuning into it. Are you asking me for my prediction?
Not yet. We're going to do that later. But
it'll be a good game.
Aye.
It'll be a good game.
I'll go and give us your prediction, then we'll do it. Do it early for that.
I just think the extra quality that St Mirren have will see them through. But I think it'll be a tight one.
And I think the fact that they won the other night, as you know,
it's massive.
They hadn't won since the Cup final.
No, it's incredible. I do feel for them a little bit because to win, that'll be the biggest game of their lives. A lot of them at Celtic and Rangers, you sometimes are used to that and you know how to reset. But to reset mid-season on such a high, it was always going to be difficult. So that win the other night against Hearts will be massive for them. And I would imagine they'll have too much for Airdrie
tonight. And Barry, huge game, going back to the league for St Mirren because they really needed it. But most people didn't see Hearts slipping up there.
It's always a tough place to go, St Mirren.
Yep.
Look, a lot of people going about their physical presence, and they are a big physical team, but they've got some good football players as well, St Mirren. But it's a surprising stat that you said they've not won a game since the cup final, but that will hopefully kick-start them. We're getting a good result against Hearts.
Billy's also asking, did you go and see Neil McCann and
Yeah,
Billy Dodds? That must have been funny for you, seeing them there.
Yeah, I went down to see them for 5 or 10 minutes and had a quick chat, and just obviously they were looking forward to it. It was a bit strange for them as well, because 6 months ago they were in the dugout with myself. So they were looking forward to it. They were going to go and take the game to Rangers, but listen, that went straight out the window once they get the man sent off in the 4th minute. And they done pretty well, to be honest with you. I think the result flattered Rangers a wee bit, if I'm being honest with you, the 5-1. They gave a good account of themselves. They just ran out of gas, if I'm being honest with you.
It was 3-1, wasn't it, with 2 minutes to go. Did you go to the right dressing room? Did you have to think which way to go?
No. Listen, it's just good to see them, and I was delighted they get back in. Look, when I brought them into Rangers last year, that gave them that bit of fire to get back into the game. And listen, it's a brilliant opportunity. Kilmarnock, I'm sure Dan will agree, I think Kilmarnock's a brilliant club. It's a good job to get. Yeah, they're struggling, but good stadium. They've got a new training ground coming. That's going to be up and running come the summer. They backed him in the transfer market as well. He was allowed to bring in quite a few players. Also get young Finlay Curtis from Rangers, which I think will be a great signing for him. So, they can just focus now on making sure they climb that league table.
We're going to Govan after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
We're going to talk Celtic in a few moments. And Brian Wilson, the interim chairman, appealing for calm and for conversations to go on with the Celtic support, who are talking about some boycotts at the game this weekend against Dundee in the Cup. But let's talk Rangers. Go back onto the line now. James is on the line in Govan. Hi, James. Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. You okay?
Aye, not bad. Listen, I've got a point with the booing. The booing's got absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we scored a goal so quick. Absolutely nothing to do with that, to think that we've got a God-given right to run away with 5 and 6 goals. The booing is to do with negative play. Ask Aberdeen players let him get the ball, and they're in a perfect position to turn. I'm forever on this radio station saying there's nobody in that team that can turn the way Barry used to turn and head towards goal. Even they get the ball, they're in a position, the fans can see the whole pitch. These players are in a position, they can turn and they can go towards goal and they can play positively. But their first reaction is negative play, is bounce it back. That's where the booing comes to. Nothing to do with a God-given right to score goals against Kilmarnock.
Barry?
That pass back,
Yep.
That'll be the long John Jones. Gave Jack Butland there, like, that was a bad pass back.
Yeah.
I know it was Jack Butland's fault, because it could have been maybe a bit better concentration. But he shouldn't have got that ball shouldn't have passed back. He should be humped up the park.
Barry, what would you say to James?
In terms of the back pass first, I agree with him. I don't think the defender needs to make that back pass. I think sometimes you're putting a goalkeeper in a horrible position. Just take it out your feet and get it up the line sometimes. That's what I think some players are afraid to do. There's nothing getting it up top quickly as possible. So I know Jack can do better. I'm not defending, and I think if you ask Jack, he would agree. But as a defender, just sometimes just get it up the pitch, get it up the line. In terms of the booing, there is some players that are maybe they do feel under a wee bit of pressure when they play at Ibrox, because the fans are really demanding. But again, I'll go back to it. That's just the way I was used to that. There's players in there that have been there a few years. Need to let the current group know that, listen, if you go out here and we don't start as well, the fans are going to go on your back. It's just the way it is. It's no good to play in at times, but it's just the way it is, I'm afraid, at Rangers. But I can see where the caller's coming from. Sometimes you're urging them to go and make that pass forward. Maybe they're a bit scared to make a mistake. But then on the other hand, I look at a Mikey Moore, who every time he gets the ball, in my opinion, is very direct and wants to go directly against his opponent and take him on.
Are some of the new players going to do what James is looking for, being more positive, look forward, run back the way? Well,
I look at I'm sure if James agrees, Roman's come on in the second half at the left back. Now, one thing I will say, young Magoma for 19 years of age, who's came from Brentford, I think has been really good. He's played so many games, but Roman's looked the part. I know he was up against 10 men, but every time he got the ball, he was focused on driving forward. That's what you want to see for your fullback. Olsen, now we've seen signs of why Rangers brought him in. I thought it was a great finish, got it out his feet. Didn't see enough the previous game when we played against Hibs at Easter Road. Chukwani, I think he brings something totally different to what the current midfielders bring to the team. He's a real physical presence. And Big Nadiri up top is something I think we've been crying out for. A real physical presence, somebody who gets about the pitch, but somebody who wants to be in the 18-yard box and affecting games.
James, what would you say to Barry's reply on that? Does that make sense to you?
100% agree with Barry. I mean, the problem is, you know, Rangers fans are so scared with so many players lose from, and I could name a lot of players, so many players in the past that just the first reaction is pass it back, keep it safe, they don't want any aggro for the fans. So if you don't take a chance on that pitch and you just keep passing back, that's when you're going to get aggro. And the vast majority of players on that part are positive players. But see the one or two that their first reaction is to send it back to whoever gave them the ball, send it back to the keeper. They don't want to play. They're causing grief for other fans. That wasn't a reflection on the whole team, that booing. That was today that started erupting when we started seeing the negative play. That's when that started. There's nothing I thought today with the fact that we think we've got a God-given right to score 5 goals against Kelly. Nothing I thought he did. People need to get it right, and Danny Rowe needs to get it right as well. He needs to be telling their players, if you don't want to hear boos, you turn on that ball and you go towards goal. If you lost that, then that's fine.
Darren?
James, can I ask you a question? What do you think of the window? What do you think of the 4 players that were brought in?
Brilliant. That left back, he's going to be, he's a keeper. And I hope we get Mikey Moores for another year. But I'll be honest with you, the players that we brought in, 100% massive difference to what we had.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that was Danny Rowe. Because it's a summer where you could have Lauren Shanklin, Josh Mulligan, we know the story.
I mentioned earlier, and Darren mentioned it as well, the 4 players were brought in not to make the squad stronger, what Darren says, to make the starting 11 stronger. That's what you want in a transfer window. You don't want to just bring them in for the sake of bringing players in. You want to bring them in so they can affect. And certainly they 4 players affected the game. And Wednesday night when they come on the pitch, I thought the standard and the level went up a notch.
Darren, it makes it difficult, doesn't it? For if the ball's played back to the keeper as it was the other night, you would expect Butland to clear it, but there's no need for it. The ball could have been up the pitch.
Yeah, I think I totally agree on the point of the defender just needs to take responsibility and play forward, really. I think there was never a scenario playing back to Butland. He's having to play the ball across his body. He obviously makes a massive error, but the reality is it shouldn't have been going back to him in the first place. But fortunately for Rangers, it didn't matter all too much.
James, Queen's Park this weekend. I don't want to give you a shiver. A lot's changed in a year. Are you okay? You looking forward to the match?
Well, the way I look at football, whatever is will be. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're an entirely different team.
Sure.
We were last year, and we've got guys on the park that have got a better, approach to the game. Yeah. But I just want to reiterate, Danny Rowe needs to say to these players, if you're going to be negative and play the ball and not show any kahuna and up that park, you're going to cause a lot of grief for the other players who are playing well on that park. Because I want the Rangers players to know the booing isn't for the full team. It was for a couple of people who are still playing negative.
Okay. James, good message, loud and clear. You got that, Barry?
Listen, just a passionate Rangers
and he's
fan.
There, he pays his money.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Listen, it's all about opinions, and he's passionate about his team. And he's come on and he's certainly made a good point.
James, still Hearts to win the league, do you think?
Oh, aye.
I'd rather Hearts than that Aramo, but you never know. But I think we're in pole position.
James, thanks for your call. It could be Celtic, could be Rangers, it could be Hearts, but it's Glasgow's own. Got the feeling it's going to come west again. But listen, Derek McInnes will be thinking, I'll tell you what, we've only lost 3 games and we're far from out of it, but 13 games to go for him, the 13 biggest games of his life, probably.
Yeah, massive. And it's credit to him, is the whole club, the recruitment, and they've been the most consistent team so far. I think he made a comment, is it 4 months they've spent at the top of the league, so it's not kind of if they're there for a small period. I just feel off the back of the 2 transfer windows and with the 2 clubs' experience of knowing how to string wins together, I don't see Hearts been there till the wire. That's my honest opinion of it. I think it'll come down to Celtic and Rangers.
Barry?
Yeah, I think they'll still be round about it, but going back to the game against St Mirren, Derek, he'd be raging at that Finlay. Just get out your feet and get up the pitch. Similarly, we're just speaking about the ball going back to Jack Butland. I don't know why players are reluctant to do it. Just get it up the pitch. Don't take any chances. And then from that, taking the chance, you lose Halkett, who's a big player for Hearts. And they can't afford to lose many more big players, because Shanklin's out, Cammy Devlin's out, who are 2 big players, and now Halkett's going to be suspended.
Headlines in the back of the papers today. Oxlade-Chamberlain in town for the medical tomorrow to join Celtic. Barry Ferguson saying we need to talk about Mikey Moore. He'd like to see the club sign him long-term or extend the loan for next season. And you'll never talk alone is the headline.
I don't think you'll be able to sign him permanent.
No, indeed.
No,
but for, on loan for next season. And you'll never talk alone. So it's Brian Wilson, the interim chairman, speaking to some Celtic fans who said a good conversation with them. They didn't agree on everything, but he's talking about that there's been such a disconnect between the board and between the fans for such a long time. This is what Martin O'Neill said about it this afternoon.
Well, it's naturally it's not a great thing. It's been happening now since the it's certainly going back probably to late August time, if not before that, and so it's something a bit new. I thought that way back when I was managing my very first time here, there was a great togetherness, hence 75,000 fans descending upon Seville for the final. Anyway, those things are gone. It's a new era, and what I would like, if it's at all possible, if there were some meetings, which I think Mr. Wilson said it was going to take place, which is really that's a big step forward, I think. And I think he said himself, we might not agree with everything, but let's find out. Let's find out what all the ailments are. And it is strange, really, for it to be in this shape. We need the fans in. I think you saw John McGlynn speaking way back, taking Falkirk here, saying that it's the atmosphere can turn toxic pretty quickly if that's the case, and that's not something you want to hear from opposition managers. You feel that that's the case. I don't know. Maybe these meetings might take too late before tomorrow's game. But if they're talking about some sort of show at Stuttgart, I don't think. I think we should try and have some sort of talks before then.
Darren and Dee, what do you feel about it all?
I think this is the biggest thing Celtic need to deal with in order to win the league. I think it's the thing that will hold them back. Celtic Park is nowhere near the level of atmosphere that has been. There's clearly a disconnect between board and fan base, and both sides will have their own agendas of that. The natural thing to think is, can we bring people together, as Brian Wilson has spoken about, and speak about it? Whatever way it's done, they are going to need to sort out very, very quickly how they get the Celtic support back on board and inside the stadium, because if that atmosphere isn't right, it's not going to be conducive to go and try to challenge of trying to win this league. They need the full support behind them. So hopefully Brian Wilson, his words, they're going to be acted on really quickly, and hopefully the Celtic fans will like whatever spoken about. But mark my words, I think the biggest challenge to Celtic winning this league, when I say the biggest challenge, but internally, will be sorting this out.
Wow. The news is next, then we're back. More on that in a few moments.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Hour 2, Paul Cooney here with young Darren O'Dea and young Barry Ferguson, the two birthday boys. February, what's the star sign then for you?
Aquarius.
Aquarius, yeah. What are the characteristics of Aquarius? So, narky,
Money.
talented, money.
Only, yeah.
High standards, yeah. Winners, both of you, yeah.
I know, I'm not too sure.
Do you ever get the winners' medals out? Do you ever look at them?
No, I have
Never.
no idea where they are.
Honestly?
No, I have no idea where they are.
Barry?
I do every
Yeah.
now and then.
Yeah.
I actually cleaned mine just before Christmas.
Yeah.
What is it? Brasso?
Brasso, yeah.
Cleaned them all. Because sometimes you open up and it brings back a lot of memories.
Sure.
And listen, that's what you dream as a wee boy, like
Of course, yeah.
winning trophies and getting medals. And listen, you don't know how lucky you've been. You've done something hundreds of thousands of people would have loved to have done. So lucky to win
Millions.
15 trophies up here.
15 trophies.
Yeah, didn't have quite as many as 15.
No,
but I think 4, 2 leagues and cup, League Cup and Scottish Cup. But you know, I don't know. I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
But just the medal side of it, I'm sure they're in the house somewhere.
The family must have been so proud as well.
Yeah. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just the type that I just park with. There's nothing in my house that resembles
Shows it.
football.
No big picture of you up in a
I think there's a
Celtic strip
picture.
or-
Sorry, there's maybe one
Yeah.
picture of myself and Tommy Burns. But other than that, there's nothing football wise.
Barry?
I've got nothing
Yeah.
football-wise in
Honestly,
the
yeah.
house. No.
What about that wing though? That's the football wing. They can mini Ibrox.
I knew you were going to say something like that.
It's so predictable, actually. Well, Rob's going to be here Monday night. That's the great
Good.
news.
Thank God we've got a good
We'll try and
presenter.
change it from a loan to a permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be here
Hopefully.
on Monday night. But Barry, it's what millions of people would love to do. You know, I joke with Mark Goody,
Yeah,
for
listen,
example.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't take my career for granted, and you don't get it put in a plate for you. I'll tell you, it's so difficult to break through it. At certainly big clubs like Rangers and Celtic. So you've got to have something about you. It's not just about ability. You've got to have a real work ethic about you. You've got to listen. You've got to tune in, and I don't take anything that I've done in my career for granted. I got a lot of help, some brilliant coaches, but the most important thing is I had a strong family. That was the key.
Fantastic, isn't it? And, you know, I know you don't look at your trophies and your medals and things, but you know they're there. And
Yeah, no, of course, and it's the memories really I cherish more than anything. The players I played with, the kind of moments you remember. They're the things that mean the most to me. I was lucky enough that I played in a few different countries as well. So the experiences I gained through football, and you see it now. The bonds you make with your teammates, and you mightn't see them for a few years, and then when you get back together, it's exactly the same. So it's a fantastic sport to be a part of. Winning things obviously is fantastic as well, but it's a very, very tough industry at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point Darren makes. It's great to see, like, on Wednesday night, I hadn't seen Mikey Moles for a while.
How is he?
Yeah, listen, he still looks fit as a fiddle. What a player he was. He was unbelievable until he got that injury against Bayern Munich. But it's good to bump into teammates and even I sit with the old guys sometimes at the game, like Colin. You'll remember him, Colin Steen, Willie Johnson, Alec McDonald.
Yeah,
guys like that, and just listening to
Doddy.
just listening to their times as footballers, totally different to our times.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was a contact sport then, wasn't it? Compared to now, they must think this is so changed.
Well, even maybe I shouldn't say this because he's in work, but myself and Stephen Smith. So Stephen Smith, we would have kicked lumps out of each other because he would have been in the youth team similar times to me. But we ended up meeting on holiday one year with our families, and then I think we spent the next 3 holiday or summers together. So you kind of, when you're in the middle of it, it's very, very intense. And once you step away, actually the Rangers and Celtic players probably have the most to be able to kind of most common
ground,
if you like,
exactly.
common ground. But you would never ever speak about that when you're actually in the bubble of playing.
Of course.
But I've always said to you, like, I always had respect before the game and after the game. And during the game, listen, you're going to war, aren't you? Once that whistle goes, you're in it to win it for your team. But there was always respect amongst Rangers and Celtic players.
Stephen Smith, actually, as obviously Rangers coach now, was speaking to the media yesterday, and he spoke about the transfer window. He was asked, has this lifted the general atmosphere, second top of the table?
I think it's just been a collective. I think deadline day, I think it was a really good window. Not just, I think the manager mentioned it, not just the players coming in, but the players going out. Feels like a real freshness in the group. And one thing you always want as a manager, as a coaching staff, is competition for places. It puts pressure on people to perform, and I know if they don't perform, there's somebody there waiting who probably deserves an opportunity to come in. So I think as a collective it was a really good transfer window, and not just the incomings but the players that left as well.
And what about the title, the belief in the players?
Of course they are. I think that you can feel that there's an energy in the group, that they know that they've put themselves in a really good position. But one thing we need to do is remember how we got there. We got there through a lot of hard work, taking it game by game. I think it's okay for everybody else to get carried away and everybody else to speculate what might happen, but we as a group have always got to remember how we've put ourselves in this position.
Stephen Smith, he's done really well, Barry, hasn't he?
He's done it. He had his own academy.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he started, I think, under 12s or 13s at Rangers, and then progressed the B manager. So he's got a fair bit of experience. Danny Rowe brought him in, and he's kept him until the end of the season. So he'll be really enjoying himself. He speaks well. I thought he spoke really well there. And I had a few dealings with him, obviously, when I was the manager last year, and we brought a few of the ones that we thought were doing well in the B team up to train and hopefully give them the opportunity. But it's good to see somebody again who came through the academy, Paul, somebody who, a Lanarkshire boy who'd worked hard and played, not just at Rangers, but had a good career, went down south.
Norwich, he was at Norwich, wasn't
Preston
he?
as well.
Preston, yeah.
A good Blantyre boy, isn't he?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yep, Blantyre,
Yes,
that's the one.
Yeah. Good family connection there. He's a brilliant guy, and I think he enjoyed it with the youths. You know, he learned a lot.
I think that was his passion.
Yeah, it was.
Was the youth, and listen, when you get the opportunity to move up to first team level, I don't think it's one you can knock back. So you'll be gaining a lot of experience from now until the end of the season. Then. I don't know where it will take him, but I would imagine that the B team job would still be there if it doesn't kind of work out, or Danny Rowe decides to do something different. But certainly he's done a really good job, Stevie Smith.
Let's hear from Martin O'Neill ahead of the Cup games tomorrow. Celtic against Dundee. It's the 5:30 kickoff. I think it's the Premier Sports game. What's the update on the squad?
Don't have injuries as such, but we'll probably change a few players as much as anything else. You know, we've got games coming up thick and fast. I think the Aberdeen game has been rearranged for the Wednesday evening, so that's 3 away games in 6 days. Obviously, I don't think anybody's taken into consideration the fans travelling back and forward to these games. Our fans, 3 away matches, costly business,
Sure, yes, he's getting that in there.
Yeah, he's getting a wee dig in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you do think it that way, I mean, 3 away games, the cost, the travel, and it certainly costs a lot of money to go to games. So, yeah, I think he's having a wee pop.
Yeah. And I think Aberdeen left it so late. I don't understand why. And I heard Alan Burrows saying, it's snow and rain for 30 days. I get it. It's Aberdeen. It's early February. Why was the game not called off earlier? Because, Old Firm fans come from everywhere.
Surely, I think you've got to look at that midday.
Very poor.
Yeah, before people start to travel. I would imagine Celtic would have went up the night before.
They were up there.
Yeah, they would have been. Yeah, they were.
But in terms of the supporters, I think you've got to take that into consideration. And the game didn't get called off until I think the back of 4. So I would imagine quite a few had already started their journey.
Yeah. It's not acceptable, Darren, is it?
Well, if there had have been a real change in the weather between midday to 4 o'clock, I could understand it, but
there wasn't.
The weather had been like that for 30 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is really poor, and it's poor on the support. Any support that has to travel that length and then it gets called off that late, it's not really acceptable.
As usual, the Rangers and Celtic fans go around the country, so they don't get as many tickets these days, but the backbone of Scottish football. I know they bring problems at times, and then they're not treated well enough. It's really poor. Really poor. Stevie is on the line, a Celtic fan. Hiya, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Happy birthday, Barry. Happy birthday, Darren.
Cheers, Stevie.
Cheers, Stevie.
I hope Mr. Cooney obviously got you something fantastic as a present, boys, for putting up with him.
His pockets are ankle deep, mate. Don't worry about that.
sorry, Barry.
Especially in a night out, that's for
It's
sure.
not true. Barry and I actually get a fair number of the Tizers. Do you remember Tizer? You won't remember Tizer. Right, Stevie, what are you doing here to me? But no, the caterpillar cake was there for them.
That's it. No, so I was trying to make a point, obviously, just about the boys that have been added to the European squad, to the boys that have known that it could potentially look as if Celtic are going to have two different playing style kind of squads. You know what I mean? Between, obviously, if they do well in Europe and maybe progress compared to what they do, as you said there, Martin's going to make a few changes for the cup game on Saturday, but then, I mean, you're looking at the league games. We're going to have the boys that are there in the European squad playing, and then obviously the boys that are playing the European squad. So it could be quite exciting that you've got two different Celtic teams. I mean, not playing in the two different competitions. I just want to know with the boys' thoughts. Did they get the right ones? Did they pick the right ones?
Yeah, it was interesting which ones he's left out. I could understand the right back. That was always going to be one. The centre forward, they've brought two into the squad, which again, centre forward was the area I thought Celtic need to recruit in the most. But yeah, I'm interested to see, because ultimately you don't know how good these guys are until they start playing, and it will be interesting to see if there's a player that's absolutely flying for them and isn't eligible. But I suppose Martin O'Neill's had to make the call, and you've just got to trust with what he's gone with.
Barry?
That's the problem. You've got rules to abide by in terms of squad. And look, Martin O'Neill knows his stuff. Yeah. He would have had thoroughly thought of what he was going to do with the European squad, and taking into consideration the games that are going to be coming up as well, Paul, because it's going to be a busy schedule, that's for sure, for Celtic.
Stevie, can I ask you, what do you think of Araujo? Here he is this afternoon, and he was asked, how do you pronounce your name?
Julian Araujo.
Julian Araujo, of course. And about how he's settling in.
Yeah, obviously, coming here, I was looking forward to getting minutes. It's credit to all the staff, to all the coaching staff, to my teammates. They've made it very easy to adjust. It's not easy coming to a whole different country and, without any support on the family side. Having support, but it's a whole different culture. But I think it's been a really easy adjustment. I'm very excited to keep going. It's a big club, so I'm just happy to be here and be able to give a little part of of what I can do.
Stevie, is he quietly growing on you?
Again, Paul, he'd hardly played at Bournemouth, mate, in the game that he did play. He gets sent off, so I think with a player like that, the only way is up. You know what I mean? And see, can he settle into the way that Celtic play? And again, as Martin's saying, we've got three away games in 6 days. You know what I mean? Is he going to be used in every game and stuff like that? So it's going to be really interesting, obviously, with the guys he's brought in, and to see, obviously, the style of play that we play against Stuttgart compared to the style of play that we're going to play. You know what I mean? Obviously, Barry's there against Rangers, against Hearts, Aberdeen, and things like that. You know what I mean? I think that's why I was asking. Do the boys think? You know what I mean, has he picked the right guys to add to the squad? I don't know what's happening. Obviously, Chamberlain. You know what I mean? Is the boy in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Stevie. I just think Martin O'Neill, particularly the first time round, he's had to rely on the same players over and over again. And what you see, Srirachi gets injured. I don't want to say because of that, but because of the amount of games Celtic play, it was a case of obviously trying to bring in as much quality as possible. But I think what Martin will be really, really happy is he can actually rotate the squad, and when they're coming back from either Europe or other games, they can, I wouldn't say prioritise certain games to make sure they have the strongest team, where really since he's been in, all he can do is, there's probably been maybe maximum 14 players to pick from. So I think it will be a massive benefit now to him that he can do these things.
Stevie?
Definitely, Tom. But as I say, it's something But when you look at it, and again, the big questions, you're going to stay, you're going to obviously leave at the end. I don't think he'll leave at the end of the season. And I think Paul will remember the interview when he came back the first time to talk sport. And he said, would you have took it? Not no full time if you were asked. And he said, aye. Yeah. So
I think he'll go at the end of the season. That would be my call.
Well, as I say, I'm only reading between the lines, mate.
Yeah, sorry. When I say go, I mean from the manager. Whether Celtic see a role from, I could see that, but I just think that's where Martin's head's at.
Barry, what did you make of Celtic with every one of them was a loan? And does that matter if you're just aiming for the title?
Loans can work really well. Loans can go against you. It's depending on the character of the player. Does he want to come here and really have a go and have an opportunity to be in at Celtic long term? And also, is he coming here to go and try and impress other clubs? So it can work one of both ways. And I'm sure the ones that Celtic have brought in, Martin O'Neill would have spoke to him and looked at him in the eye and said to himself, right, do you know what? I'm fine with this because I know these players want to come and try and do a job for me.
Mm-hmm. I think on that with loans, I completely agree with Barry that it can be hit or miss, but the reality is Celtic, there's two ways of looking at it. Celtic don't know who their manager is going to be next year, so I think there'll probably be a small element of not knowing, do we want to sign a player for X amount that the next manager mightn't fancy? That's one. The second thing is the recruitment has been well documented. There's been loads of changes in that, so there won't have been loads of work. I think Sean Maloney and Martin O'Neill have touched on that. There was a lot of fast work having to be done when they came in the second time. And then the last bit that people probably don't think of too much is top players probably won't sign knowing that they don't know who the manager is after the season. So I think it always pointed to loans. I think that was always going to be the case.
Barry, it does affect it, doesn't it? If you don't know who the manager is going to be next season.
Yes, definitely. You don't want to come and sign a 2.5, 3.5 year contract, not knowing who's going to be in charge going forward, and it'll be interesting to see. I just look back at a few months ago, and it's not even a few months ago. I just can't believe they made the change. Yeah. Why they didn't keep Martin O'Neill. But listen, they made the decision. It was a nightmare of a decision, and he's come back and he settled everything down again, and he's getting results. So it'll be interesting to see how they do from now until the end of the season, and then who's going to be in charge going forward.
Just before the news, Darren, you were saying maybe the most important thing for Celtic this season is to get that bridge again with the fans, between the club and the fans. Yep, it was something like that.
Yeah, well, you've now had the window. They've recruited 5, potentially six players if Oxlade-Chamberlain comes in. Martin has come in. Everyone knows and is very comfortable with him. He's already got a real tune out of the team. Everything's there but the support. And I think Barry can speak from a Rangers point of view. I can speak from a Celtic point of view. That matters. Having the support behind you it's pivotal. It's not a case of you can't not have them in the stadium and be expected then to go and win things, or it'll be very, very hard to do it if Celtic and I've been at Celtic Park. It's not in the greatest place right now, and I think back to only last year, but even 2 years ago when Ange Postecoglou was there and the place was bouncing.
And the Green Brigade, I know they have their critics and they do some things wrong, but the atmosphere when they're there...
No, they create the atmosphere. Yeah, they create... The reality is now, there's obviously things that have gone on that maybe Celtic's board aren't happy with. There needs to be a mediator now that comes in and says, look, we need to sort this out, because ultimately... The support are supporting Celtic. The board are wanting to do the best for Celtic. It's going to be an implosion because they'll actually trip each other up.
Barry, it's a 12th man.
I'm a big believer, and I'm going from a Rangers point of view. You need your fans. You need a connection with the fans, and I'm a big believer. And if you have a connection between the pitch and the stands, I think you're halfway there to being successful.
So you're going to say to the Celtic fans then, stay at home.
Yes.
Don't go to the game. Because it's so important. Stevie, what can you say? What can you add? Because, look, there's so much to play for. Of course, the board have done a lot wrong, done a lot right as well. The Green Brigade do some good things. They feed some of the poor and all the rest of it. Some of the behaviour is outrageous. So what are they going to do here? Where's it going to come from? A settlement which will help your team give everything between now and May.
Again, Paul, I mean, I grew up in the jungle, mate. So the jungle sort of controlled Celtic Park. If you were in the Celtic end, obviously, I mean, Barry or no, he's a bit young, but in the Rangers end, I mean, they could never compete. I mean, no, and somebody had said, no, the Green Brigade are a wee bit jungle-esque, but the jungle never caused, obviously, not Celtic as much as what the Green Brigade have done, obviously with the songs that they shouldn't be singing, the banners and stuff like that. You go to Celtic Park to support Celtic. So it's, I mean, all your beliefs and all the chips in your shoulder, you leave them at home and you go and support the guys that are on the park playing against, obviously, with Barry's team. And when you go to Ibrox, obviously all the Rangers fans. I've been on before and I say that I support Rangers in Europe, and my wee grandson goes to the European Games and he says that he went, the atmosphere's amazing, and he's been at Celtic Park when he was younger, and he's been at Rangers obviously now he's a wee bit older, and Nate Savkey digs please Barry, and but again he goes there to support his team. He doesn't go there with political views, points of views.
Enjoy the game, exactly. Let's enjoy the football.
That's the point, Paul. Enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy obviously the game. I mean, and not have a bit of banter with your pals and family and stuff like that. That's what Old Firm, has always been about. Barry knows that. Darren knows that. I mean, myself as well. I mean, for over 40 years. So you get a ribbon off your mates when their team win, and you get back when your team wins. You know what I mean? But you're still mates. It's still stuff like at the end of the day. All the political stuff, I mean, there's no need for it. No place for it in football.
Stevie, thanks a million for your call. 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, Scottish Cup action tonight with Scottish Gas Airdrie against St Mirren. 7:45 kick-off, so an hour and 17 minutes. The fifth round of the Scottish Cup. And then tomorrow, Dundee United against Spartans. I'll tell you, Jim Goodwin.
Oh, he wasn't a happy man.
You can believe
it. And no wonder.
I know.
No
89
wonder.
minutes. Yeah. They're 2-1 up.
Yeah, and you defend like that. I can imagine what was going on in that dressing room after the game. He wasn't a happy camper, that's for sure.
Is it going to be a happy camper? You would think tomorrow, I think,
Spartans. Look, Spartans are doing really well in League 2, sitting top of the league. But look, Dun United Premier League, I'm sure Jim will be on at them. They're at home. Yeah, they'll be, I would imagine they'll be far too strong for Spartans.
Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I think at home, with the B team at Celtic, we played away to Spartans a few times.
How were they?
They're a good side. They'll be very kind of physical and direct. But if the game was at their place, it would be a very tricky tie. But I think Dundee United Tannadice should have too much.
Don't say that for Jim playing away at 3 years ago. You know what I'm thinking about when he was at Aberdeen. Dunfermline against Kelty Hearts. I'm going to throw that to you first, Barry, because you know this.
Local derby.
Indeed.
Kelty are struggling in League One. Again, as an unmanager, wasn't happy at the weekend. Dunfermline, after going to St Johnstone the previous week,
that's right,
getting a brilliant result. I'm going to go Dunfermline to be far too strong for Kelty.
Because they did so well against Hibs, of course, knocking them out. What do you think, Darren? Who do you fancy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think Dunfermline will manage to go through that. I think the fact that they've picked up their form, Dunfermline, in the last while, but they obviously at the weekend, what Barry's alluding to, I think Neil will have had words with them, so I'd imagine he'll get a reaction tomorrow.
Do you bump into Neil at times? Of course, you know him so well.
No, I haven't seen him in a while, but if I ever did, obviously he was kind of the captain when I broke through at the club, and then a coach, so nice someone I think a lot of.
Elgin against Partick Thistle, so the Jags, of course, have got the work to do in the title race. They're doing really well up at the city of Elgin. What do you feel?
That won't be easy, but I think Mark Wilson's done fantastically well there this year. The whole team has. I think the expectation is certainly not to be where they are in the league, so they've really punched above their expectation. Again, you've got to I think we always say you're going to expect the higher level team to win. The reality is it probably won't be the case in every game, so there will be upsets. And that's a difficult one, Elgin, but I still think Partick would have enough.
It's going to be the Jags. Barry, what do you feel?
Yeah, I think Partick, good season. They've got good pros in the team. Listen, again, I agree with Darren. I don't think it'll be an easy game, but you go up there and you be professional and you just get through the first 20 minutes, and I think Partick will be too strong again.
It's a big club, Partick, isn't it? And they've got Mark Wilson there and Alec Gray as well. Do you know what I mean? I think most people have got an affection.
Yeah, I watched them a couple of weeks ago when they went up at St Johnstone, and they kept going right at the end, and they obviously they got the equaliser right at the death. And look, I think that's another title race that's going to go down to the wire. I thought at the maybe 3-4 months into the season, St John's would run away with it. But you've got to give Partick Thistle credit and Mark Wilson credit. They've certainly stuck in there. But for tomorrow's game, I think they'll go through into the quarter-final.
Aberdeen against Motherwell, of course, match postponed. And the news says it's going to be played a week on Wednesday. That's the 18th of February. So up there at Pittodrie. But Dan, for Motherwell, we said earlier on, you've got real momentum, playing the best football maybe in Scotland, and that's 2 games. Nothing for them.
It's just not ideal, and it's then what the effect it has later down the line, where you've got a backlog of fixtures, and that then puts a lot of stress onto the players. So it's not ideal at all.
Do you jump in a plane? They've got the money in from Lennon Milk. Would you take them away, Barry?
Do you know? No, I think you'll arrange a behind closed door game.
Malaga or something.
Even the under-20s or something. Just to get them minutes in the legs, because as a football player, you want to play games of football. So that's 2 games postponed. And you know what's coming, as I mentioned at the start of the show. There's a big game for them next week against Rangers. So I'd imagine tomorrow they'll have a full-scale game behind closed doors.
Not off to the sunshine, maybe just nip down. No chance.
In fact, it's a cup weekend. You'll have teams that won't have games, so potentially they'll arrange one with them.
Celtic against Dundee, we'll come back to it. And then on Sunday, Rangers against Queen's Park at 2:00, and then Stenhousemuir against Falkirk. Barry, that's
again, I think that's a potential banana skin, but I just think the way Falkirk have went about their business this season, they've been so impressive. Coming from League One into the Championship, straight into the Premier League. I never imagined that they would have a season up until now like this, but you've got to give the manager credit and the players credit again, and I think they'll go there, experienced manager, they'll be very professional, and I think they'll go through.
Livy made it tough for them the other night, though, didn't they? I mean, Falkirk were on top, but then Livy came back.
But they showed a different side to them. When Livingston get the goal back, they dug in, they worked hard together, they kept it strong, and they seen it through, and that's what good teams do.
Darren, who do you fancy in that one?
No, I said it earlier. I think Falkirk are my favourite team to watch this year, just outside, obviously. You watch a lot of Celtic games and you see the Rangers games, but they're my favourite team, close with Motherwell. I think John McGlynn, to think where he was to where he is now, and he's taken them through the leagues, but doing it in a real style of play that it's fantastic to watch. So I believe they'll beat Stenhousemuir. It'd be great to see them actually go on a bit of a run.
We'll come to the big 2 shortly. Last week, Barry, I said to Darren on the programme, I mean, who thought it was a good idea for Celtic to sell Adamida just before the window closed, the last time?
Dan was
and of course,
manager.
And I'd done my homework as usual. He was the assistant manager at Swansea City.
Do you know what? See about Adamida?
It was him.
I liked him. A lot of fans were giving him a wee bit of stick.
Do you know, he was second to Kyogo. And if you think of Kyogo, he was, I don't know, maybe the best since Larson. You could put him in the bracket of certainly the top 3. So, he scored 20 goals in his last season at Celtic, but as a second choice striker. But you're right.
Because I came up close against him, because I was obviously in the touchline, and I liked what I seen. I thought, he's not just a big guy. He was decent enough.
He's mobile.
He was mobile. Could get about the pitch. His link-up play was good, and I was surprised. I thought it was a good signing for Swansea. He's done well there. Well done, Dan.
Who thought it was a good idea? You two in cahoots, but of course Darren was at Swansea City, in case you think he was there. Any word about you in a career? What's happening at the moment, apart from being on here?
I'm just taking my time with things.
Yeah.
When you go in, Barry, you obviously know this as well as anyone, it is absolutely like you're engrossed with it. So I enjoy Christmas. I'm going down to London next week or in 10 days. I'll visit. I'm going to go in and watch Brentford train for a few days with Keith Andrews. And I'll just see what's next. I'm kind of quite relaxed about it. What's for you won't go by you.
Keith Andrews doing such a brilliant job,
Yeah,
isn't he?
He's done.
Yeah, he surprised people.
Yeah,
Barry,
and a
would that
lot
be
of
fair?
people were putting him for first to get sacked. But listen, he's proved so many people wrong. He's kind of changed a wee bit the way they play as well. I enjoy. That's another team I enjoy watching. I don't enjoy many Premier League games down there, but they're one team that I enjoy watching is Brentford, and Keith Andrews has done a fantastic job. I actually knew him a wee bit because he was Kevin Muscat came to Rangers, and Kevin Muscat and Keith Andrews played together at Wolves.
That's right, yeah.
He was a good guy, nice guy. Had a decent career as well.
Of
Was
course.
it
He was at
Blackburn?
Blackburn,
Yeah.
That's right.
And did you play outside each other?
Just in the national
internationally?
team,
Yes.
yeah. He's a bit older than me, Keith. He
Yeah,
always
sure.
kind of looked after me well.
6 years older.
He's a really intelligent guy. He speaks really well, presents well. But listen, to see the level he's hit this year, I think even he would say that it was beyond his kind of dreams. But he's done fantastically well. I think though it probably just shows how well structured Brentford is, that they can have a first-time head coach come in, and it's just a well-oiled machine.
Celtic, please copy at the moment. Listen, they have done so well in the past, but maybe not this season. Well, definitely not this season in terms of behind the scenes. Brian's been on from Donegal, but he's from Glasgow, and he wants to ask both of you how much it meant to you. You first, Darren, because I've asked Barry before, to represent your country.
Yeah, I've always said that was the pinnacle by a country mile for me. By a country mile, it was, and there was never one kind of. It was like I could come on for 20 minutes in a game, and it was the only time I would come off a pitch and be absolutely so proud. Like you, at Celtic, you won things, and don't get me wrong, you celebrate, and it was fantastic. But then it was always about the next thing, and it was always the next cup or the next season. With Ireland, every cap just meant everything to me. So, it was the pinnacle for me.
Just standing up there. Because Brian is sort of half Irish, half Scottish, so he loves both. Barry, he loves the Irish anthem, and he loves the Flower of Scotland. For you?
Yeah, it was, proud to go and play, and then obviously having the privilege to go and captain your country is huge. It's something as a young kid you kind of think would never happen, and when it happens, it's a proud moment for everyone connected to myself, and every time I put the jersey on, listen, maybe never played well, but I gave it everything, and we were unlucky in a few occasions. We had some really good teams, we just missed out in the playoffs. So it was that's one thing I would have loved to have done.
Yeah,
was go to a major tournament. I'd have loved to have done that, but listen, delighted for the current group who have done it. They've went to a couple of Euros now, and now they've made it to the World Cup for the first time in 28 years.
Hey, you worked hard, Barry, but you were lucky as well. The talent, the team that you were in, and the teams, but at Rangers, and then your League Cup medal at Wembley with Birmingham as well.
Yeah, that's another one. It's something that I never thought, like going down to Birmingham. Listen, it was a big club, but it was just making sure you kind of stayed in the Premier League, because you were up against the big guns, and the money that was getting thrown about even back 10 years ago was crazy, 10, 12 years ago. And then to get to a final and then come up against Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, you're the underdogs. I remember the build up to that. It was nothing about us, it was all about Arsenal. We just went about our business quietly, and listen, they dominated us, but we had a game plan. We made it tough for them. We were horrible to play against, and we got the result.
How many league games would you have left after that cup final? Can you remember? Because it wasn't that wouldn't have been at the end of the season.
No, it was the start of February, the cup final.
So I'm just thinking of St. Mirren, like was there a come down after?
Yeah, we get relegated.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
I know. Yeah.
We should have brought it up.
I was out after that game. I fractured 2 ribs, so I was out for about 4-6 weeks. And then we had Stephen Carr, Carey was a big player. He had a few injuries, Lee Bowyer. So there was a lot of players that kind of missed a lot of
So you
games.
think it was more injuries rather than the
Yeah, I
fact
think
of
if we
winning
kept that
you'd have done
team,
all right.
Yep, we would have stayed up.
But thanks for that, Darren. Just to throw that in. That
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realise that was the case. Yeah.
That's my Midlands team. Is the Blues of Birmingham.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
I
told you Tom Ross.
A brilliant, Tom Ross, great
The
guy.
reporter, great guy there.
Yeah.
I was a big Birmingham fan. I worked down there in BRMB for a wee while as well. What about Scott McTominay? I see Napoli, not unsurprisingly, want to have talks with him to extend his contract. 29-year-old.
He's been ridiculously good since he's been over there. And even when he made the move, I was surprised that Manchester United let him go. He's the type of player that I think they need. But he's been over there and he's excelled. I think he's got better and better. His goal scoring record from the middle of the pitch is exceptional. And yeah, I'm not surprised one single bit that Napoli are trying to get him tied up in a longer term deal.
Yeah, he's under contract at the moment to 2028. You know, Man United as well. You know, he was he was underrated for sure.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, you listen to the kind of ex-players of Man United talking about the DNA of the club and it lacking. Scott McTominay had that coming out of him, out of his ears. I don't know. Sometimes you do need to leave the club you've come through in the academy because you always have that academy player kind of bracket over you. So sometimes you need to just move away for your career to take off to the next level, which is as absolutely.
Man United as well. I know in Ireland, in Dublin, there's a huge number of Man United. Would they be the most popular team?
Man United, Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool. My dad was a Leeds fan, but Liverpool,
was he?
Man United, yeah.
And what did that come from? Was it? Trying to think.
I don't know, but he would have been. I remember him going over to watch the semi-final, Deportivo La Coruña in the Champions League, and I don't know where it came from. But Man United, Liverpool fans.
I see one of the headlines in England, in English football today, Barry, is Virgil van Dijk saying, I worry about social media and the effect it can have on younger players coming in because everyone's brought up in it now, you know, young people. Yeah. And he worries that some of the stuff they'll read about themselves will affect their mental health.
Don't go on it then. But listen, some of the stuff that gets written, that's been allowed to be written is ridiculous at times. Some of the abuse, I understand that sometimes you might not play to your capabilities, but social media, I'm a big believer it's got its good points, but also it's got its bad points, and that's one of the bad points for me.
Darren, you're that bit younger. It's a big part of life now. What did you feel about Virgil van Dijk? What do you think about the effect? Could that be a negative for young players coming through?
Yeah, I always felt I was right bang in the middle of the generation change of, I knew what it was like to not have phones and social media clearly, but I'm young enough that I've been actively involved in it. What I would say about the new generation is they've never experienced anything without this, and the amount of kind of credibility they put into social media is absolutely, I think it's dangerous at times. And I totally agree. I haven't seen the full clip of Virgil van Dijk, but I totally agree. Like, I know working with players, I've worked with really young players, but I've worked at Swansea with first team players. They read this and they read a lot of it. And I agree with Barry, you say don't go on it, because that would be my mentality as well. They do. They don't know how to live with social media, so they're going to have to learn to live with the abuse that comes with it, because ultimately they won't come off it.
And Barry, I see Anasawa was saying it should be banned in schools, and I think I agree with him. It should be, because during classes it disrupts the kids coming through. I think it's unfair.
I've seen that as well. Yeah. I would agree with that. But again, we're living in a total different time, and a total different generation. It's huge.
Just put them away during school.
I can understand, as I said, it's got its benefits. There's no doubt about that. But from a football point of view, I would rather players kind of stayed away from it. Yeah. But I get they get so many benefits from it as well. They can make so much money from it.
Did you ever tell them at Ibrox last season?
Yeah, I was a wee bit like after we beat Celtic at Parkhead 3-2. I'm not on it, but after it, obviously, I'm getting shown pictures and just keep it. You've won the game. Just get back.
Was that the Watergate?
No,
Journey? No, it wasn't.
No, it's just, listen, they're taking photos, and I would rather it's just
keep in the dressing room. Yeah.
Enjoy it with the fans. Get in the dressing room. Enjoy it on the bus. Get home.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've seen it. Swansea players coming out after games and issuing apologies, and there's just some of I don't like, but there is so much good that happens in social media. But as footballers, I just think now they're going to have to learn to live with it.
More on that with Bernard Ponsonby maybe on the politics show on Sunday morning, or on the business show with Tom and Willie. Quick break and then we're back.
Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Well, in like Flynn there. James is on. He's ready for the weekend, Barry, isn't he? Definitely.
Home,
you can tell it the way you come in.
He's got a new flower on the go. So
that's right. Live from the Gorbals here in Glasgow. Phrases you didn't think you'd ever say, Barry. Live from the Gorbals. Eh?
Hey, listen.
Just close to Jota's pub, wasn't it? Darren O'Day is with us, along with Barry Ferguson, and it's Scottish Cup weekend. So, what about the two games we haven't spoken about just yet? I'm just looking to see if there's any other news coming in. The Aberdeen manager hasn't been confirmed yet, but it looks as though it's the former Saint-Étienne. He was there until last weekend, Darren.
Yeah. He's just literally just went out of job, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So I think people thought it would be someone from overseas who's coming in, because there were some good candidates for that job, not least maybe Stephen Robinson.
Well, yeah, I thought Stephen Robinson was a shoe-in, really. I just look and think, I don't know what more he could really do in Scottish football without stepping into a perceived bigger job, if you want to say. No disrespect to St Mirren. But yeah, John McGlynn obviously at Falkirk linked with it. But no, they've obviously gone. Their sports director Lutz is obviously from. Is he German?
Yes,
he's German. So he's obviously, you'll have a kind of contact list in Europe. So he's obviously gone in that direction.
Right, the big two. Let's go to the Celtic game tomorrow morning at 5:30. It's never the best time though, is it? But there's no point in saying that. It's television rules, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So. Not Danny rules in this case. It's TV that rules for tomorrow evening. It's on Premier Sports. So Big Charlie will be there. Charlie McGrew, he was in here last night in pretty good form.
Yeah, Big Charlie.
Aye. He's looking forward to seeing you on Monday.
I see what he's wearing tomorrow night. Some man.
Martin O'Neill gave us the squad update earlier on. Said there's no real injuries that you don't know about.
Don't have injuries as such, but we'll probably change a few players as much as anything else. You know, we've got games coming up thick and fast. I think the Aberdeen game has been rearranged for the Wednesday evening, so that's 3 away games in 6 days. Obviously, I don't think anybody's taken into consideration the fans travelling back and forward to these games. Our fans, 3 away matches, costly business,
So some changes you would imagine for this one. Arojo, who spoke to the media today, he spoke about the Scottish Cup and the game with Dundee.
I think, Celtic is a team that wants to win every competition. And I think this is a very important game. I think we're going to go out there and obviously play our game style. We know that Dundee's going to come and try to break us down, but we have to maintain and stick to our principles and hopefully get the 3 points.
What's his take about the other new signings?
Yeah, obviously I think the new lads, it's always good to see new lads. But I think they've been well. It's very hard because we were supposed to have a game in Aberdeen, and then you can't really. Yeah, it's been very little training sessions, but I'm sure the scouting, the coaching staff made the right decisions. They made the decisions where where we needed help in, or more quality, or whatever they thought was needed. I think they're a very great addition. And hopefully they can give us the help that we need and for this last run of the season.
So Darren and Dee, your two of your old clubs tomorrow. Obviously, we will see some of the new signings, you'd imagine.
Yeah, I actually just think they'll probably look over the next 2 games. Dundee at home tomorrow, and then Livingston, 2 home games. I don't think you'll see many players play 290 minutes. I think Martin O'Neill will spread the minutes. What team he selects is really up for debate. He'll certainly take the game very, very seriously, both games very seriously, but I just think now they've depth in the squad with the new signings to see them over the next 2 games.
Barry, you've been interested to see how Celtic line up in the next 2 games?
Yeah, I agree in terms of that's 5/6 of Chamberlain comes in. I think there will be changes, but I just can't see Celtic getting beat at all. I think they'll win by a few goals. The Martin O'Neill effect. Yeah, I can't see past Celtic if I'm being brutally honest, Paul.
2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Darren, scoreline, if I pushed you.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think Celtic will have too much. Dundee under Stephen Presley to try kind of play out a little bit. That might catch them out, because it's certainly under Martin O'Neill, Celtic have been pressing the game really, really strongly and intensely. So I could picture Celtic winning by a few goals, maybe even 4.
Araujo spoke about something you often refer to, Barry, the intensity in the Scottish game.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think the physicality, I think, it's more mentally. I think physically and mentally it's very demanding. I think you just have to, because this is a club that's entitled to win. You have to push, you have to do whatever it takes to get the 3 points. So, if it comes to the 80th minute and you're still in a draw 0-0, then you have to do whatever it takes to get that extra push. But I think there's obviously a difference, but I think it surprised me, but yeah, it's been good.
Surprised him, but he's enjoying it.
It surprised a lot of people, Paul. I always say it's a tough place to play. Maybe it's not the best technically in terms of football wise, but I've seen a lot of players come up, certainly from a Rangers point of view, come from big clubs in different countries, and sorry, should I say, and really struggle with the physical side of it. If you're not up for it, Paul, certainly when you go away from home, well, you're going to be in trouble.
And Darren,
you just the added thing to that with particularly Celtic and Rangers is when you start a game of football and you're 0-0 after half an hour, in most teams you'll think that's absolutely fine. At Celtic Rangers, the anxiety in the crowd and the team starts to come in if you're 0-0 at half time. So there's never a moment where you're drawing in a game and it feels acceptable. And that's probably the biggest kind of expectation in both clubs is so huge that some people just can't take to it.
Let's hope there's a big crowd tomorrow. I mean, people are allowed to boycott, but you would hope there'd be a huge number of fans who would go along to support them tomorrow night. Ryan Naderi came on the other night. That was his debut for Rangers, signed at the last moment in the transfer window. How did he feel about it?
Wow, it was unbelievable, to be honest. I was a bit nervous just because, it's a big step for me, but I tried to enjoy every second, and it was an amazing feeling. Yeah.
What was his deadline day? Is one he'll remember?
To be honest, it was stressful. Also there, I tried to enjoy every second because it's just such a big step for me, and
Barry, you'll be pleased to hear he says, I thrive on pressure.
Definitely. I want to, or to be honest, he asked if I'm ready to do it, right? Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm here. That's already been discussed as well, because the people here also know how I work. As I said, we had conversations, and I'm definitely the type who will manage to be able to work with the pressure that is here. I know what it means for the people as well, and I'm ready to give 100%. Yeah.
Barry,
I like what I hear there. He's saying all the right things, as you would imagine. I liked what I seen on Wednesday night when he came on for the short period of time. But time will tell. But he understands the expectations. And as I said to you, he's just the type of player that I thought Rangers really needed. As I said, he can get about the pitch. He's a physical presence. But the most important thing for me is, and as a striker, he wants to be in the 18-yard box.
Is he going to start tomorrow? And do you think
Yeah, I would. And Sunday, I would start the 4 new ones.
You think they'll start?
Obviously Chukwani and Olsen have started. Sure. Roman's come on. He's been injured, but I would fully expect the 4 January signings to start the game against Queen's Park on Sunday.
Darren, scoreline for Rangers against Queen's Park, the Glasgow derby.
I don't think you'll see anything like the previous time they met. I think Rangers will agree with Barry. I think it's a perfect game to blood all 4 of them together, and I think they'll have far too much. I think you're talking similar to Celtic. I think there could be 3-4 goals in it for Rangers.
Barry, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I agree with that. I think it's one of the ones that they'll be professional. The new players that will start the game will want to impress, and certainly I think maybe 1 or 2 will get an opportunity. And with the squad that Rangers have got, there's competition for places, so you need to earn your place. So I think Rangers will do a professional job and get the result to take them into the quarterfinals.
Sunday at 2. Barry, Darren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Paul.
Enjoy the weekend. We're back on Monday. Rob will be here with Barry and Charlie Mulgrew. Have a great weekend.